It was nearly midnight when Emma Carter wiped down the last table of the small roadside diner. The neon sign outside flickered with a faint buzz, casting red and blue shadows against the glass windows. Business was slow, as it always was on rainy nights. Only the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional hiss of the coffee machine kept her company. Emma had worked at Miller's Diner for almost 3 years. She knew every regular by name, every sound of the creaking doors, every corner where dust liked to settle. Tonight felt ordinary, or at least, that's what she thought. Just as she was about to lock up, the doorbell chimed. She froze. At this hour, no one came in. The last customer had left over an hour ago. Slowly, she looked up and saw him. A man stepped inside, tall, broad-shouldered, his coat dripping with rain. His face was hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat, the kind people didn't wear much anymore. He didn't look like a trucker or a late-night traveler. No, there was something different. "Kitchen still open?" His voice was low, steady, almost too calm for the storm outside. Emma hesitated, then forced a polite smile. Yeah, just about to close, but I can make you something." The man gave a single nod and walked to the corner booth, the darkest corner of the diner. He sat with his back against the wall, his eyes scanning the room as though memorizing exits. Emma felt a chill crawl up her spine. She grabbed her notepad, walked over, and asked, "What'll it be?" "Coffee, black, and whatever you'd recommend." She jotted it down and turned toward the counter, but she could feel his gaze following her. Not leering, no, it was sharper than that, like he was studying her. As she poured the coffee, her coworker Mark peeked from the kitchen. "Thought we were done for the night," he muttered. "Yeah, just one guy. Weird vibe," she whispered back. Mark raised an eyebrow. "Dangerous? Weird?" "I don't know yet," she admitted. She carried the coffee and a plate of apple pie to the booth. When she placed the mug in front of him, his hand brushed hers, just slightly. Cold. His skin was cold despite the layers he wore. "Long night?" he asked, eyes fixed on her. Emma shifted uncomfortably. "Yeah, guess so." He sipped the coffee slowly, almost ritualistically. For a moment, silence stretched between them, broken only by the storm outside. Then he spoke again. "You work here often?" Emma gave a cautious nod. "Most nights." His eyes softened just a little. "Then you see a lot of people come and go." There was a strange weight to his words. Emma frowned. "Why do you ask?" The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he set down his coffee, reached into his coat pocket, and slid something across the table. A photograph. Emma's breath caught in her throat. It was a picture of her, standing outside the diner in daylight, smiling, holding her apron in one hand. But the photo wasn't recent. She couldn't remember anyone taking it. Her heart pounded. "What is this?" she whispered. The man leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice. "Someone is looking for you." Emma's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Mark called from the kitchen. "Everything good out there?" Emma forced her voice steady. "Yeah, fine." She turned back, her hands trembling slightly. "Why do you have this?" The man's expression didn't change. "Because I need you to trust me. Tonight, you're not safe." Emma's pulse hammered in her ears. She took a step back. "I don't even know you." "You don't have to know me. You just have to decide if you want to live." At that exact moment, the diner's neon sign outside flickered violently before going out completely. The room dimmed, leaving only the glow of a single overhead bulb. Emma gasped, nearly dropping her tray. The stranger didn't move. His calmness was unnerving. "They're here." Her skin went cold. "Who's here?" The man's eyes flicked toward the window, then back to her. "The ones who've been following you. The ones who took that photo." Emma felt her knees weaken. Her mind spun. She wanted to run, but her body refused to move. He stood, towering over her now, his presence filling the space. "You have two choices, Emma. Stay, and they'll find you. Or leave with me." The storm outside thundered louder, as if the night itself were waiting for her answer. Emma swallowed hard, her throat dry. She had 100 questions, but no time. Mark stepped out from the kitchen, wiping his hands. "Hey, Emma, what's going on?" Before he could finish, headlights swept across the diner windows. A black SUV rolled to a stop outside. Emma's breath hitched. The stranger's jaw tightened. Too late. The sound of car doors opening echoed over the rain. Heavy footsteps approached. Emma's heart pounded louder than the storm. She didn't know who this man was, or if she could trust him. But deep down, a terrifying truth settled in her gut. Whoever was outside, they weren't here for pie and coffee. And somehow, this stranger knew all along.
The headlights cut through the rain, blinding Emma for a moment. Outside, the black SUV idled, its engine growling like some caged beast. 3 doors swung open. Silhouettes stepped into the storm. Dark coats, broad shoulders, moving with precision, too precise for ordinary customers. Emma's chest tightened. Mark frowned, glancing toward the windows. "What the hell? Emma, do you know these guys?" Before she could answer, the stranger stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "Stay behind me. Don't argue." Emma's hand shook. "Why should I?" The diner door burst open. A gust of cold rain swept inside. The first man entered, tall, clean-shaven, eyes sharp as blades. Behind him, 2 more followed, scanning the room with military efficiency. The leader's gaze landed on Emma instantly. There she is. Her stomach dropped. The stranger shifted subtly, blocking their view. "You're too late," he said evenly. The leader smirked. "Move. She's not yours to protect." Emma's heart hammered. "What do you want from me?" she blurted, her voice trembling. The man in front didn't even look at her. "Orders is simple. You come with us, or things get messy." Mark, wide-eyed, whispered, "Emma, what's happening?" She couldn't answer. She didn't even know. The stranger's jaw tightened. "If you lay one hand on her, you'll regret it." The leader chuckled. "You really think you can stop us?" Without warning, the 2 men flanking him reached inside their coats. Emma's breath caught. She didn't need to see the weapons to know what they were pulling. The stranger moved fast, too fast. In one fluid motion, he shoved Emma back into the booth, flipped the table onto its side, and crouched beside her. The crack of a gunshot shattered the silence. Plates exploded. Glass rained down. Emma screamed. Mark dove for cover behind the counter. The stranger pulled a small handgun from inside his coat, sleek, black, and clearly well used. His eyes stayed locked on the intruders, calm, focused. "You've made your choice," he muttered. Another shot rang out. The neon sign outside shattered completely, plunging the diner into darkness, except for the dim kitchen light. Emma clutched the stranger's arm, her body trembling. "Who are these people? Why are they after me?" He didn't look at her. "I'll explain later. Right now, stay down." Bullets ripped into the booths. Vinyl seats tore apart. The smell of gunpowder filled the air. Emma pressed her hands over her ears, heart pounding like a drum. She'd never been this close to death. The stranger leaned over the table edge, fired twice. A grunt of pain echoed as one of the men staggered back, clutching his arm. The leader snarled, "We're not leaving without her." Emma's blood ran cold. The stranger pulled her closer. His voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. "If they take you, Emma, you'll never come back. Do you understand?" Tears blurred her vision. "Why me? I'm just a waitress." "Not anymore," he said firmly. The words chilled her deeper than the storm outside. Another burst of gunfire. The kitchen window shattered. Mark yelled from behind the counter, "I called the cops! They'll be here any minute!" But the leader just laughed, the sound cruel and confident. "The cops won't get here in time." Emma's pulse hammered harder. She glanced toward the front door. Could she run? Could she escape? As if reading her thoughts, the stranger gripped her wrist. Don't even think about it. They'd cut you down before you reached the street. Her throat tightened. So what do we do? His eyes flicked toward the back of the diner, the emergency exit near the storeroom. We move. When I say run, you run. Don't look back. Emma shook her head frantically. I can't. You can, or you die here. Before she could argue, the leader barked, "Surround the place! She doesn't leave!" The two uninjured men split, one circling toward the kitchen, the other toward the back. The stranger cursed under his breath. "They're boxing us in." Mark shouted, "What are you dragging her into? Who are you?" The stranger didn't answer. His focus stayed razor sharp. He fired again, forcing the leader to duck behind a booth. Then he turned to Emma. "Time's up. Run." Her body froze. Her legs refused. He gripped her shoulders, eyes burning into hers. "Emma, trust me. If you don't move now, they'll take you, and everything you know about your life will be gone." Her chest heaved. Fear clawed at her throat. But somehow, something in his voice broke through the panic. She nodded, barely. "Good," he whispered. With a sudden burst, he leapt from cover, unloading his gun in a flurry of precise shots. The men fired back, chaos erupting in the diner, shattered dishes, splintering wood, sparks flying from broken wires. "Go!" he roared. Emma bolted. Her feet pounded against the tile floor, slipping on spilled coffee and broken glass. She sprinted toward the storeroom door, her breath ragged, heart screaming in her chest. Behind her, gunfire thundered like fireworks. Mark shouted something she couldn't hear. Her hands fumbled for the exit handle. Stuck! She yanked harder. The metal groaned. Then, bang! A hand slammed against the door above hers. She screamed until she realized it was the stranger. His face was grim, jaw set. "Keep moving." He shoved the door open with a brutal kick. Rain poured in, the night alive with thunder. But before they could escape, headlights cut across the back alley. Another SUV. Emma gasped. "No! No, no, no!" The stranger grabbed her arm, pulling her into the storm. "Run, Emma!" The sound of boots hit the wet pavement. More men, shadows moving fast. Emma's lungs burned as she ran, the world spinning around her. She didn't know where they were going or if they'd survive the night. But one thing was clear. Her ordinary life as a diner waitress was over. And the stranger, whoever he was, had just pulled her into a nightmare she couldn't escape.
Rain lashed against Emma's face as she stumbled through the alley, lungs burning. Her shoes slapped against the wet pavement, every step echoing in her skull. Behind her, men shouted, sharp, commanding voices cutting through the storm. The stranger's grip was iron on her wrist, pulling her faster than she thought her legs could carry. "Don't stop," he barked. "I can't," Emma gasped, tripping over a broken crate. She nearly fell, but his hand yanked her upright. "You can. Move." The alley ended in a chain-link fence, rain-slick and topped with barbed wire. Emma's heart plummeted. "We're trapped." The stranger didn't hesitate. He shoved her toward the fence. "Climb." Her hands slipped on the metal. "I can't." His eyes blazed in the lightning flash. "Emma, if they catch you, you'll wish you died here. Climb." Fear surged through her veins. Adrenaline took over. She clawed at the fence, her arms trembling, knees banging against the links. Somehow, she reached the top. Behind her, gunfire cracked. Bullets sparked against the fence inches from her hand. She screamed, nearly losing her grip. The stranger vaulted up behind her like it was nothing. He covered her with his body as another shot rang out. Then he pushed her down the other side. Emma hit the wet ground hard, pain shooting through her legs. She rolled, dazed, as the stranger landed beside her with cat-like grace. "Run!" he growled again. They sprinted into the night, weaving through back streets, Emma's chest heaving, her mind spinning. Who were these people? Why did they want her?
Finally, after what felt like forever, the stranger yanked her into a dark parking garage. He shoved a heavy door closed behind them, the echo of pursuit fading in the storm outside. Emma collapsed against a wall, gasping. I can't keep running. Just tell me, please, who are you? Why are they after me?" For the first time, the stranger hesitated. His chest rose and fell steadily, but his eyes shifted, calculating, conflicted. "Emma," his voice was quieter now, "everything you thought you knew about your life, it isn't the whole story." Her stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" He crouched, meeting her eyes. "Those men weren't random. They work for someone powerful, and that someone wants you alive, not dead." Her skin crawled. "Alive? Why? I don't even know them." The stranger's gaze hardened. "You don't have to know them. They know you." No, that doesn't make sense. I'm a waitress. I serve coffee. I live in a crummy apartment. I... "Emma," he cut her off sharply, "did your mother ever tell you about your father?" Her throat closed. The question hit her like a punch. "My father?" she whispered. The stranger studied her face. "I'm guessing she didn't." Tears stung Emma's eyes. "He left before I was born. That's all she ever said. That's all I needed to know." The stranger shook his head slowly. "That's not all, Emma. Not even close." Emma pressed her hands against her temples. "Stop! You're lying. This is insane. I don't even know you." "You don't have to know me," he said grimly, "but they do. And if they get their hands on you, you'll learn the truth in ways you can't survive." Her breath hitched. "Then you tell me. Who was he?" The stranger opened his mouth, then froze. A sound. Footsteps. Emma's blood turned to ice. The stranger's gun was in his hand instantly. He motioned for silence. They crouched in the shadows of the garage. A beam of light cut through the dark. Flashlight. Voices followed. The hunters had found them. Emma's heart hammered so loud she swore they'd hear it. The stranger leaned close, his whisper a hot breath against her ear. "Stay low. Don't move until I say." The flashlight swept closer. Boots crunched on gravel. Emma squeezed her eyes shut, every muscle screaming to run. The stranger's hand tightened on hers. His voice was steady. "When this is over, Emma, you'll get the answers of what you really are, but you need to survive tonight first." Suddenly, the light swung their way. "Over here," a voice barked. Emma's scream caught in her throat. The stranger fired. The garage erupted in chaos. Echoes of gunshots boomed in the enclosed space. Sparks flew as bullets struck metal beams. Emma scrambled behind a concrete pillar, shaking uncontrollably. The stranger moved like a shadow, precise and lethal, taking out one man with a shot to the leg. Another rushed him, only to be thrown against a car hood with brutal force. But more footsteps thundered in, reinforcements. Emma's terror peaked. There were too many. The stranger ducked beside her, reloading fast. His jaw was set, his eyes blazing. "They're closing in. We need to move, now." Her voice cracked. "Where? There's nowhere left to run." His gaze darted to the far end of the garage, a service elevator, rusted, old, but maybe functional. He grabbed her hand again. "Trust me." Bullets screamed past them as they sprinted across the open garage. Emma felt the heat of a near miss brush her arm. Her legs burned, but she didn't stop. The elevator doors groaned as the stranger pried them open. He shoved Emma inside, following close. The elevator creaked violently as it descended into blackness. Above them, voices shouted, echoing down the shaft. Emma pressed against the wall, trembling. "Where are we going?" The stranger's face was grim. "Somewhere they won't expect." The elevator rattled lower. The light flickered. Emma swallowed hard. "And then?" His eyes met hers, sharp and unyielding. "And then, Emma,
I tell you the truth about who you really are. The elevator shuddered into darkness.
The elevator groaned as it sank deeper into the earth, its rattling chains echoing like the heartbeat of some forgotten machine. Emma clung to the railing, her knuckles white, her chest tight with fear. The stranger stood steady, his face bathed in the faint glow of the flickering light bulb overhead. He hadn't looked at her since they started descending, but Emma could feel his tension radiating like static in the air. Finally, with a violent shudder, the elevator screeched to a halt. The doors creaked open to reveal darkness. Emma's voice was a shaky whisper. Where are we?" The stranger pulled the small flashlight from his jacket and clicked it on. A narrow, dust-choked corridor stretched before them, lined with crumbling brick and rusted pipes. "This," he said, his voice low, "is one of the few places left where they won't dare follow. Old war tunnels, abandoned, forgotten." Emma hugged her arms around herself. "I don't understand. Why me? Why are we running through old tunnels like some fugitives?" The stranger started walking, forcing her to follow. His boots echoed against the damp floor. "Because, Emma, whether you realize it or not, you are." Her pulse spiked. "I told you, I'm just a waitress. I pour coffee. I wipe tables. That's it." He stopped so suddenly she almost collided with him. Slowly, he turned, shining the flashlight directly into her face. His eyes bored into hers, sharp and unwavering. "Do you really believe that? After tonight, after gunmen chased you through the city, after bullets nearly tore you apart?" Emma swallowed hard, her throat dry. "It doesn't make sense." "It will," he interrupted. His tone softened, almost regretful. "But you need to prepare yourself. The truth is heavy. It destroys people who aren't ready for it." Emma's voice trembled. "Then try me." For a long moment, silence. The stranger's jaw tightened. His flashlight beam wavered, then lowered to the ground. "Your father," he began, "wasn't the man your mother said he was." Emma's heart stopped. She felt the tunnel closing in, the damp walls pressing against her. "Don't—" "You deserve to know," he pressed on. "He wasn't some deadbeat who left. He was someone powerful, someone dangerous. And the people chasing us tonight, they believe you are the key to finishing what he started." Emma staggered back a step, shaking her head. No, you're lying. My mom would have told me. She wouldn't keep something like that from me." The stranger's voice hardened. "Would she? Or was she trying to protect you?" Emma's lips parted, but no words came out. He continued, "Your father worked with them, the men hunting us. He was one of their best, until he betrayed them. And when he vanished, they swore they'd find his bloodline, his heir." The word hit her like a thunderclap. "Heir." Emma's knees buckled. She clutched the wall to steady herself. No, that's insane. I'm not." "You are," the stranger cut in. His voice was final, absolute. "And they know it." Tears blurred her vision. She wanted to scream, to deny it, but deep down, a piece of her, the piece that had always felt different, that had always wondered why her mother's eyes clouded with pain when Emma asked about her father, whispered it could be true. Her breath came in shudders. "So, what does that make me? A target? A trophy? Some weapon?" The stranger's face flickered in the dim light. "It makes you dangerous. More dangerous than you can imagine. That's why they won't stop until they have you."
The words echoed through the tunnel, bouncing off the walls like a curse. Emma's mind raced. She thought of her tiny apartment, the clattering dishes at the diner, the quiet nights she spent wishing for something more. Was this the more she had unknowingly asked for? Her voice cracked. And you? Why are you here? Why help me? For the first time, his expression shifted, just slightly. A flicker of something almost human softened his hard features. Because, he said quietly, I owe your father a debt, one I can never repay. Saving you is the closest I'll ever get. Emma's breath caught. So, you knew him? A shadow crossed the stranger's face. Better than most. And worse. Before Emma could speak again, the tunnel suddenly shook with a distant rumble. Dust rained from the ceiling. The stranger's flashlight flickered. Emma froze. What was that? The stranger's jaw clenched. They found the entrance. Panic surged through Emma. We're trapped. No. He scanned the tunnel ahead, then grabbed her wrist. You'll have to trust me. Emma hesitated only a moment before nodding. She had no choice. They ran deeper into the labyrinth of tunnels, their footsteps echoing into the unknown. Behind them, voices shouted, distorted and hollow in the underground darkness. Emma's chest tightened. Questions clawed at her throat. Who was her father really? What had he done that made her daughter worth hunting like prey? But as the stranger pulled her forward, one thought drowned out all the others. She wasn't running from the truth anymore. She was running straight toward it.
The tunnels twisted and turned like the veins of some ancient beast. Emma's lungs burned as she ran, her shoes splashing through shallow puddles of stagnant water. The stranger's grip on her wrist was unyielding, dragging her forward every time she stumbled. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he stopped in front of a heavy iron door buried into the brick wall. Its surface was rusted, the handle nearly fused shut from decades of decay. Emma panted, bending over to catch her breath. What is this? The stranger pressed his palm flat against the cold metal. A safe house, one of your father's. Emma's head snapped up. What? Before she could ask more, the stranger slammed his shoulder into the door. Metal groaned, dust cascaded, and with a final wrench, the door gave way, swinging open with a long, painful creak. The air inside was stale, but warmer than the damp tunnels. Emma hesitated before stepping through, her eyes widening. It wasn't just a room. It was a bunker. Old maps of the city were pinned to the walls, marked with faded red circles and scribbled notes in handwriting she didn't recognize. Wooden crates lined one corner, stamped with symbols she couldn't read. A desk sat in the center, layered with stacks of yellowed papers, photographs, and strange devices that hummed faintly even after all these years. Emma whispered, He built this? The stranger's expression was unreadable. He built many, but this one he kept secret, even from them. Emma's chest tightened. She stepped closer to the desk, her fingers hovering over the papers, but not daring to touch. One photo caught her eye. It was old, edges frayed. A man stood in the picture, tall, broad-shouldered, with piercing eyes that seemed to stare right through the camera. His arm was wrapped protectively around a woman Emma had never seen before. Her heart skipped. The man's face was unfamiliar, yet hauntingly familiar. The shape of his jaw, the curve of his brow. She saw pieces of herself in him. Her throat ached. Is that him, my father? The stranger's gaze lingered on the photo. Yes. Emma's knees weakened and she sat heavily in the nearest chair. Her mind spun. This man, the shadow who haunted every unanswered question in her life, finally had a face. And now, staring back at her from a decades-old photograph, he was more real than ever. Her voice cracked. "Why didn't she tell me? Why didn't my mom ever—" "Because she wanted you safe. The less you knew, the better chance you had to live a normal life. But now, that chance is gone." Emma swallowed hard, fighting the lump in her throat. Her trembling fingers reached for the stack of papers. She picked one up, scanning the messy scrawl. Words leapt out at her. Plans, shipment, infiltration, air. Her stomach turned. What was he planning? The stranger's jaw tightened. Something big. Something they never forgave him for abandoning. And now they believe you're the only one who can finish it. Emma slammed the paper down, her voice rising. "But I don't know anything. I don't want any of this. I just wanted a normal life." For the first time, the stranger's face softened. He crouched beside her, lowering his voice. "Wanting doesn't change blood. You can't outrun what you are, Emma." She shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "Then tell me what I am." Before he could answer, a sharp click echoed through the bunker. Both froze. Emma's eyes darted toward the crates. One of them had shifted, just slightly. The stranger rose slowly, pulling a small pistol from under his coat. He motioned for silence, then approached the crates with measured steps. Emma's pulse hammered. The silence was suffocating. Suddenly, the crate lid flew open. A figure lunged out, tackling the stranger to the ground. The flashlight clattered, rolling across the floor, its beams swinging wildly. Emma screamed. The stranger grunted, wrestling with the intruder, their shadows thrashing against the walls. With a swift motion, he flipped the attacker, pinning them down. The light caught the intruder's face, young, gaunt, eyes burning with desperation. A boy, no older than 16. He hissed through clenched teeth. "This place isn't yours. It's his. He told me to protect it." Emma froze, her skin prickling. Who?" The boy's wild eyes locked on hers. "Your father." The room went still. Even the stranger faltered, his grip loosening slightly. Emma's voice was barely a whisper. My father? He's alive?" The boy smirked bitterly. "Alive? Oh, he's more than that. He's waiting. For you." Emma's world tilted. Her mind screamed denial, but her heart hammered with something else. Hope, fear, confusion, all colliding at once. The stranger's voice was harsh. "Enough! Tell us where he is!" But before the boy could answer, the tunnels outside thundered with distant footsteps. Shouts echoed, growing louder, closer. The stranger cursed under his breath. He hauled the boy up with one hand, grabbing Emma with the other. "No time. We move. Now." Emma's legs felt like stone, her mind spinning with the boy's words. Her father, alive, waiting. But as the stranger dragged her toward another door at the back of the bunker, only one thought echoed in her skull. If her father was alive, then why had he hidden all these years? And what did he want from her now?
The tunnel shuddered with the sound of approaching boots. The bunker walls seemed to vibrate with every echo, closing in on Emma's chest. The stranger gripped her hand tighter. "They found us." The boy still dangled in his other grip, wiry limbs thrashing. "Let me go! You don't understand. If they catch me here, we're all dead." Emma's voice cracked. "Then help us. You said your father told you to protect this place. Then protect me." The boy froze, her words piercing through his panic. His eyes flicked to hers, wide and conflicted, then back to the stranger who held him down. The footsteps grew louder. Shouts echoed, distorted through the stone. The stranger hissed, "Decision time, kid!"
For a long, heavy second, the boy hesitated. Then he gave a sharp nod. "There's another exit, hidden, but you'll never find it without me." The stranger released him reluctantly, his pistol never lowering. "Lead. One false move and you won't see sunrise." The boy muttered something under his breath, too quiet to catch, and darted toward the back of the bunker. He pressed his hand against what looked like a plain stone wall, fumbling with a rusted latch. With a groan, the wall cracked open, revealing a narrow passage choked with dust and cobwebs. Emma's heart pounded. She stepped in after him, the stranger close behind. As soon as the last of them crossed through, the boy slammed the hidden door shut. Darkness swallowed them whole. The boy struck a match, its tiny flame flickering weakly. "Stay close. These tunnels aren't on any map." Emma whispered, "Why are you helping us?" The boy's voice was hollow. "Because if they catch you, everything he built dies with you." Emma's chest tightened. She wanted to press him, to demand answers, but the stranger shot her a warning look. Not now. The passage was suffocating, low ceiling, damp walls, the stench of mildew clinging to the air. Rats skittered ahead of them, their squeaks echoing like tiny screams. After what felt like miles, the passage slanted upward. A grate loomed overhead, moonlight seeping through its bars. The boy shoved it aside and scrambled out. Emma followed, gulping in the fresh night air like it was the sweetest thing she'd ever tasted. They were in the heart of the city. Rooftops stretched around them, neon signs flickering against the night sky, sirens wailing somewhere in the distance. The boy motioned them forward. "This way!" They sprinted across the rooftops, leaping narrow gaps, their shadows slicing through the glow of streetlights below. But behind them the shouts returned, closer, stronger. The hunters hadn't lost them. Emma's legs screamed, every muscle burning, but adrenaline kept her moving. The stranger fired a shot behind them, the crack splitting the night. A pursuer fell, but more poured from the shadows like a swarm. Finally, the boy skidded to a halt at a crumbling rooftop. He crouched low, prying a loose brick from the wall. Inside the hollow cavity was a small, dust-caked metal box. Emma blinked. "What is that?" The boy shoved it into her hands. "It's for you." Her fingers trembled. As she opened it, inside lay a folded scrap of paper, brittle with age. She unfolded it carefully, her breath catching at the sight of the handwriting. It was the same script she had seen on the bunker papers. Her father's. The message was short, just a single line. "When the time comes, follow the fire." Emma's lips moved silently, repeating the words. "Follow the fire." The stranger peered over her shoulder, his brow furrowed. "What the hell does that mean?" The boy's face was pale, his eyes darting nervously toward the approaching footsteps. "It means your father left a trail, and if you follow it—" He paused, glancing at the stranger, then back to Emma. "You'll find out why the world fears him." The rooftop door exploded open. Figures in black poured out, weapons raised, their shouts slicing through the night. The stranger shoved Emma behind him, raising his pistol. "Run!" The boy grabbed her arm, pulling her toward another rooftop gap. "Come on!" Bullets sprayed across the rooftop, sparks flying as they ricocheted off metal vents. Emma screamed, ducking low, as the stranger returned fire, his jaw clenched, movements precise and practiced. She and the boy leapt across the gap, landing hard on the next rooftop. The stranger followed, rolling to his feet just as another burst of bullets chewed through the ledge behind him. The three of them tore across the city skyline, the message burning in Emma's grip. "Follow the fire." The words seared themselves into her mind, louder than the gunfire, louder than the screams. Finally, they dove through an open skylight into an abandoned warehouse. Dust exploded into the air as they landed, the room vast and echoing. The stranger dragged heavy crates in front of the doors, barricading them as the boy doubled over, wheezing. Emma clutched the note against her chest, her voice shaking. "What does it mean? What is he trying to tell me?" The boy raised his head, his expression grim. "It means your father left a trail, and if you follow it—" He paused, glancing at the stranger, then back to Emma. "You'll find out why the world fears him." The top door rattled violently, voices shouting outside. The barricade wouldn't hold for long. Emma's pulse thundered in her ears. She looked at the stranger, then at the boy, then down at the note one more time. Her father's words burned like embers in the dark. Follow the fire. And deep inside, a chilling realization struck her. Whatever awaited her at the end of that trail wasn't just about her father. It was about her.
The barricade shuddered as fists and rifle butts slammed against the warehouse doors. The wood groaned, splinters flying with every blow. Emma clutched her father's note tighter, her pulse a wild drum in her ears. Follow the fire. The words felt heavier now, as if they were more than a message, like a command. The stranger reloaded his pistol, his movements sharp and efficient. "We don't have much time. Boy, is there another way out?" The boy wiped sweat from his brow, scanning the dusty warehouse. "There's always a way. Just depends on how much you're willing to risk." Emma stepped forward, her voice steadier than she felt. "Show us, please." The boy led them deeper into the warehouse. The vast space was filled with rusted machinery, old conveyor belts, and stacks of forgotten crates. He moved quickly, weaving through the maze, until he stopped at a shattered window overlooking the street below. The stranger frowned. "That's at least a 2-story drop." The boy smirked faintly. "Better than waiting for death at the door." The pounding grew louder, a hinge tearing loose with a metallic screech. No more time. The stranger vaulted through the window first, landing with a grunt on the hard pavement. He waved them down. "Go, Emma!" Her heart raced. She climbed onto the sill, the night wind biting her skin. She glanced once at the door, then leapt. The ground slammed into her legs, but the stranger caught her arm before she toppled. The boy followed last, landing in a roll, grimacing at the impact. Behind them, the warehouse doors burst open, shouts erupting. "Run!" the stranger barked. They darted into the shadows of the alley, weaving through the labyrinth of narrow streets. The city's neon glow reflected in rain puddles, their footsteps splashing as they fled. Emma's lungs burned, but her mind kept circling back to the note. Follow the fire. What fire? Where? As if an answer, a sudden glow caught her eye. At the end of the alley, a mural blazed on the brick wall, a massive painting of flames, bright orange and red, almost alive under the flickering streetlight. Emma stopped dead. "Wait!" The stranger skidded to a halt, confusion flashing across his face. "What are you—" She pointed. "The fire! Look!" The boy's eyes widened. "That wasn't here last week." Paint dripped fresh down the wall, as though it had been drawn recently, deliberately. And at the center of the flames, hidden almost like a secret, was a small painted arrow pointing left. The stranger's grip tightened on his pistol. "It's a trail." Emma's chest heaved, excitement mixing with terror. "My father left this." The boy looked uneasy. "Or someone who wants you to think he did." Before Emma could respond, a gunshot cracked through the night. The wall beside her exploded with brick dust. "Move!" the stranger roared, shoving her forward. They sprinted down the alley, following the arrow.
More murals appeared, smaller fires painted on lampposts, doorways, even trash bins, always pointing the way. The chase was relentless. Shadows hunted them, bullets zipping past, boots pounding closer and closer. But the fire markers never stopped, guiding them deeper into the city's forgotten veins. Finally, the trail ended at a boarded-up theater, its once grand entrance decayed and silent. Above the doors, a weathered marquee still clung to the facade. Emma froze, her breath catching. The letters spelled out a single word: Ember. The stranger scanned the street, his jaw tense. This has to be it. The boy shook his head violently. No, this place is cursed. People disappear here. If your father brought you, he didn't mean to save you. He meant to test you. Emma stepped closer to the doors, drawn by something she couldn't explain. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Follow the fire. The stranger caught her wrist. Emma, think, this could be a trap. Her eyes burned with defiance. Or it could be the only way to find the truth. The boy looked between them, his expression twisted with conflict. Then, without warning, he bolted down the street, vanishing into the shadows. Emma gasped. Wait! Where are you going? His voice echoed back, sharp and cold. I told you, this place only brings death. If you enter, you're on your own. Silence swallowed the street as his footsteps faded. Emma and the stranger stood before the theater, the painted flames on its boarded doors flickering faintly under the neon glow. The stranger exhaled slowly, his eyes locking on hers. Once we step inside, there's no turning back. Emma lifted the note again, her father's handwriting burning in her mind. Follow the fire. Her hand trembled as she pushed against the doors. With a groan, they creaked open into darkness. A cold draft whispered out, carrying the faintest smell of smoke. Emma swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's find out what he left for me. And together, they stepped into the shadows. The doors of the Ember Theater groaned shut behind them, sealing Emma and the stranger in darkness. For a long moment, the world was silent. Only the faint drip of water somewhere deep inside and Emma's shaky breathing filled the void. The stranger flicked his lighter, the tiny flame casting trembling shadows across the ruined lobby. The light revealed torn velvet curtains hanging in tatters, rows of cracked seats coated in dust, and faded posters peeling off the walls. Emma shivered. It feels dead. The stranger scanned the room, his voice low. Places like this always remember. Not the good things, only the bad. She swallowed, hugging her arms. Why here? Why would my father choose this place? Instead of answering, the stranger led her down the central aisle, his boots crunching broken glass. At the far end, the stage loomed, a black mouth yawning wide. Above it, a mural stretched across the wall, flames painted in bold strokes, brighter than the decay around them. Emma's breath caught. The flames again, she whispered. But this time, the flames seemed different. Hidden among the swirls of orange and red, shapes emerged, numbers etched faintly in the paint. Coordinates, the stranger muttered, tracing the figures with his hand. Emma stepped closer. So he left me another path. Before she could finish, the floor creaked sharply. Both froze. From the balcony above, a soft clapping echoed, slow, mocking. Emma's blood turned to ice as a figure emerged from the shadows. It was the boy, the same one who had guided them through the city. Only now, his smirk was sharper, his eyes colder. "You really thought I was helping you?" he drawled, leaning casually against the railing. "Cute." Emma's chest tightened. You left us." "I led you, right where they wanted you." The stranger's pistol snapped up instantly, aimed at the boy's chest. "Why?" The boy spread his arms. "Because there's no escaping them. Not for me, not for her. Better to be on the winning side." Emma's throat ached. Betrayal cut sharper than fear. She had trusted him. She had believed in his desperation. "You sold us out?" she whispered. The boy tilted his head, eyes glinting. "Sold you out? No. I delivered you. Do you know how valuable you are, Emma? They don't care about your father's debts. They care about you." Emma stumbled back, her mind spinning. "Me? Why?" The boy leaned forward, his voice dropping into something venomous. "Because you're not just his daughter. You're his legacy. And you have something they want." Before Emma could respond, a door behind the stage slammed open. Dark silhouettes poured into the theater, men in black coats, their boots pounding against the wooden floor. The stranger cursed under his breath, firing a warning shot into the ceiling. Dust rained down, but the men kept coming. "Emma!" he barked, grabbing her wrist. "We need to move, now!" But Emma couldn't tear her eyes away from the boy above. His smirk widened, cruel and final. "You'll never outrun fire," he said softly. The stranger yanked her behind the stage, shoving through curtains and broken props. They ran through narrow hallways, their footsteps echoing in the suffocating dark. Shouts chased them, heavy boots pounding closer. Emma's chest heaved. "Why me? Why are they after me?" The stranger's jaw was stone. "Because your father knew something, and if he trusted you with his last message, then you hold the key, whether you know it or not." They burst into a backstage storage room, cluttered with old costumes and shattered mirrors. Emma stumbled, catching herself on a trunk. Something inside rattled. She froze. Slowly she lifted the lid. Inside lay a small wooden box, carved with the same flame symbol from her father's note. Her hands shook as she pulled it free. The stranger's eyes widened. "That's it. That's what they're after." Voices grew louder outside the door. They had seconds. Emma fumbled with the box. "It's locked." The stranger cursed, scanning the room. His gaze landed on the mural outside, the coordinates hidden in the flames. "Of course," he muttered. "It's not just a mural. It's the code." Emma's mind raced. "But I didn't see a lock." The stranger took the box, his fingers brushing over the carvings. He pressed against the flame symbol. With a soft click, a hidden latch released. The lid creaked open. Inside, nestled in velvet, lay a single brass key. Old, tarnished, but undeniably important. Emma stared at it, her pulse thunderous. A key? To what? Before the stranger could answer, the door crashed open. Men stormed in, rifles raised. The stranger shoved the box back into Emma's hands. "Run!" She hesitated, terror chaining her to the floor. His eyes locked on hers, fierce and unyielding. "Emma, your father died for this. Don't waste it. Go!" With a strangled cry, she clutched the box to her chest and bolted through a side door, the shadows of the theater swallowing her whole. Behind her, gunfire erupted. The stranger's roar shook the air. And Emma realized, with icy dread, that she might have to finish this journey alone.
Emma ran. Her footsteps echoed through the forgotten tunnels beneath the Ember Theater, each beat pounding in rhythm with her racing heart. She clutched the wooden box tight against her chest, as if it were her only lifeline. Gunfire still echoed faintly behind her. Shouts, chaos, the stranger's voice roaring orders. She wanted to believe he was still alive, still fighting. But deep inside,
Dread coiled tight. She stumbled into a wide chamber lined with rusted pipes and broken machinery. At its center stood a heavy iron door, ancient and scarred. Her breath caught. Etched into the metal was the same flame symbol. The same one on her father's note, the mural, the box, the key. She fumbled, pulling it out with trembling hands. As the brass slid into the lock, her chest tightened. It fit. With a grinding groan, the door swung open. Beyond was a hidden archive, walls lined with shelves stacked high with files, maps, and ledgers. Dust coated everything, but one thing was clear. This was no ordinary storage. This was a vault of secrets. Emma stepped inside, her eyes darting across names and dates. Her father's handwriting scrawled across documents, diagrams of buildings, lists of powerful men and women, judges, CEOs, politicians. Her knees nearly buckled. This was her father's legacy, his evidence, his war against the people who controlled everything. And now it was hers. A voice slithered from the shadows. "Well done, Emma." Emma spun. From the far end of the archive stepped the boy, the traitor. His smug grin glinted in the dim light. Behind him, men in black fanned out, rifles raised. Emma's chest heaved. "You led me here?" The boy shrugged. "You were always going to end up here. The difference is, now we get to decide what happens next." He gestured, and one of the men stepped forward. In his hands, Emma saw a familiar figure, bloodied, bruised, but alive. The stranger. Emma's heart lurched. The boy smirked. He fought hard, but no one escapes forever. The stranger's gaze found hers, fierce even through the pain. "Don't give them the key." The boy chuckled darkly. "Oh, she already did. She opened the door for us." Emma's blood ran cold. The boy walked closer, circling her like a predator. "Do you know why you matter, Emma? Why your father chose you?" Her voice cracked. "Tell me." The boy leaned in, whispering, "Because you're the only one he trusted to carry the fire." His entire archive, every truth, every crime, enough to bring down the empire. He pulled a pistol from his coat, pressing it gently under her chin. "And now, thanks to you, it's ours." Emma's eyes burned. She wanted to collapse, to give up, but then her father's voice echoed in her mind. "Carry the fire." Her gaze darted to the stranger. His lips moved silently. 2 words. "The box." Emma's pulse spiked. She looked down. The wooden box was still in her hands, but the boy hadn't noticed the false bottom. Her father's last safeguard. Summoning every ounce of courage, she forced herself to smile. "You think you've won." The boy's smirk faltered. "What?" Emma's fingers pressed a hidden latch. The bottom popped open. Inside, a small device blinked. A transmitter, already active. The stranger grinned through blood. She called them. Sirens wailed above. Heavy boots thundered through the tunnels. The boy's face twisted in rage. "No!" He shoved Emma back, raising his gun. Bang! The stranger had moved first. With the last of his strength, he wrestled a guard's weapon free and fired. The boy staggered, eyes wide with shock, before collapsing to the floor. Chaos erupted. The guards scrambled, exchanging fire as police stormed the chamber. Amid the smoke and shouting, Emma rushed to the stranger's side, clutching his hand. His breath was shallow. "You did it. You lit the fire." Tears blurred her vision. "Don't you dare leave me." But his eyes softened. "Your father believed in you. So do I. Carry it to the end." His hand went limp. Emma's sob broke through the roar of gunfire. Hours later, the sun rose over the city, staining the sky crimson and gold. Emma stood outside the ruined theater, the archive's files clutched in her arms. Reporters swarmed, police sirens blared, and the empire of lies her father had fought against trembled on the edge of collapse. She had lost everything. Her father, the stranger. But as the dawnlight bathed her face, she knew one truth. The fire was hers now, and the world would burn with it.